All right. So some problems from 12.1, 12.2, and 12.3. All right, we want to take the derivative of these and simplify completely. So this first one, number 1, that's definitely a quotient rule. Quotient rule says low d high minus high d low over the square of what's below. So low d high minus high d low over the square of what's below. All right, so taking the derivative, low, I'm just going to write down the low part. D high, the derivative of the high part, derivative of 4x minus 3 is 4. So that's low d high, minus high, I'm just going to write it. D low, derivative of the low part would be 5, over the square of what's below. All right. So I'm not going to mess with the bottom right now. I'm just going to multiply through on top. And so I get 2 times 4 is 8 plus 20x minus 20x. And then a negative here and a negative here makes a positive 15 over 2 plus 5x squared. All right, so the 20x's cancel. And we have 8 plus 15 is 23 over 2 plus 5x squared. All right, number 2. So number 2, we have a chain rule. We have a bunch of stuff here to the 5th power. So if it was just y equals x to the 5th, then the derivative would be 5x to the 4th. But instead of x, we have a bunch of stuff. So our derivative is going to be 5, all that stuff, to the 4th power. Copy paste the stuff into the parentheses, times the derivative of that stuff. So the derivative of 2x cubed is 6x squared, plus the derivative of 9x is 9. And the only thing you could do to simplify would be if you wanted to multiply this 5 over here into that back part, but that's not even necessary. Okay, number 3 is a quotient rule. So we're going to use our quotient rule, low d high minus high d low over the square of what's below. Low d high minus high d low over the square of what's below. All right. So we're going to have low, just write it down, times d high. The derivative of 3x to the 6th is 18x to the 5th. It says low d high, minus high, just going to write it down, d low. The derivative of the low part. So this is a bunch of stuff to the 5th power. Derivative is going to be 5 stuff to the 4th power. Copy paste the stuff into the parentheses here. Times the derivative of the stuff. Derivative of 4x cubed is 12x squared, and derivative of negative 7 is 0. So we've done the low d high minus high d low part. And that's going to be over the square of what's below. So what's below is to the 5th power, and we're going to square it. All right, so that is the calculus step. Now we're going to simplify. So on top, I'm going to do a reorder step just because there's a lot going on top. And so here is my negative sign, which I don't want to lose. I'm going to put my number in front, then my x term, then the ugly term, minus the subtraction sign I don't want to lose. And then on the right side, I've got a bunch of stuff being multiplied together. So I'm going to take my numbers, 3 times 5 times 12, and if I multiply those, I get 180. Then here we have x to the 6 times x squared. That's going to be x to the 6 plus 2, or 8. And then we have an ugly term. We have 4 ugly terms, actually. And in the denominator, power to a power, you multiply. So this is going to be 4x cubed minus 7 to the 10th power. So that's just my reorder step, so I can kind of see things a little bit more clearly. So then looking at this left to right on both sides of the subtraction sign, I have 18 and 180. The largest number that I could pull out of both of those would be 18. Then I have these x terms. I've got 5 of them there and 8 of them over here. So the most I could pull out would be 5. And then I have the ugly term. I've got 5 on one side, 4 on the other, so I'm able to pull out 4 of them. And that leaves me with, so coming back in here, on the left side of the subtraction sign, it leaves me with, I got rid of the 18 altogether, I got rid of this x to the 5th altogether, and I got rid of 4 of these ugly terms, so it leaves me with 1 of them. So I have 4x cubed minus 7, 1 of them. The subtraction sign that you don't want to lose. On the right side of the subtraction sign, I got rid of 18. So out of 180, think 180 divided by 18 goes in there 10 times. So I have a 10. I had 8 x's, but I got rid of 5 of them. I took 5 of them out. So now I only have 3 left. And then I got rid of this ugly term completely. And that's all over 4x cubed minus 7 to the 10th. All right, so once we've pulled out 4 of those ugly terms right there, we can cancel all 4 of them with 4 of these, and it leaves us with 6 of them right there. And so we end up having 18x to the 5th. And inside here we have 4x cubed minus 10x cubed. So that's going to be negative 6x cubed. And then minus 7. That's inside there. All over 4x cubed minus 7 to the 6th power. Okay. Number 4 is a product rule. We have an x term right here and another x term right there. So that's term 1, term 2. Our product rule says 1d2 plus 2d1. So, taking the derivative, 1 means I'm just going to copy the 1 term. d2 means I'm going to take derivative of the 2 term, which is a bunch of stuff to the 8th power. So derivative is going to be 8, a bunch of stuff to the 7th power. Copy paste the stuff in here, times the derivative of that stuff. Derivative of 2x cubed would be 6x squared, and derivative of 1 is 0. So I've done 1d2 plus 2, I'm just going to write down my 2 term, d1. The derivative of my 1 term is just negative 6. All right. Then I want to clean this up so I can decide if I want to reorder or not reorder. This is not quite as complicated. Like this side, I just have an ugly term and a negative 6. That's all I have. So over here, I also have a negative 6. I have an 8 also and a 6 also. And I have an ugly term and some x's. But I know the largest number I can pull out of both is going to be that negative 6. And then I can pull 7 of these ugly terms out. And it's going to leave me with, so on the left side of this plus sign, I got rid of the negative 6 and I got rid of all 7 of those. So it leaves me with an x times an 8 times a 6x squared. Then don't forget your plus sign. And then on the right side, I got rid of the negative 6 completely and I got rid of 7 of the ugly terms. So it leaves me with 2x cubed plus 1 to the 1, just one of them. All right. So then whatever you pulled out is already simplified. It stays where it's at. And over here, we're going to have 8 times 6, that's 48, and x times x squared is x cubed, plus 2x cubed plus 1. So I can combine these two, and I get 50x cubed plus 1. Okay, number 5. I'm going to rewrite this problem before I take the derivative. So I'll have y equals, instead of 8 square root of x, it's 8x to the half minus 14. That's the 5th root of x to the 7. So I can write that as x to the 7/5 plus, if there's a 3 in the denominator, you just pull it out front. So that's just 1/3 times x minus x. So I'm just rewriting that. Now I'm going to take the derivative. So I have half times 8 is 4x to the negative half minus 7/5 times 14 is, I'm going to come off to the side over here, 7/5 times 14, so I'm going to do 14 times 7 is 28, that's 98 over 5. X to the 7/5 minus 1, which is 2/5, plus the derivative of 1/3 x is 1/3 minus the derivative of x is 1. And then simplifying this, cleaning it up so I don't have any negative exponents there, and I can combine those two. I'm going to have 4 over x to the half minus, this one's fine, and then adding my two numbers together, 1/3 minus 1 is 1/3 minus 3/3, so that's minus 2/3. All right, and then number 6 is going to be a quotient rule. So I'm going to do low d high minus high d low over the square of what's below. So taking the derivative. Low, I'm just going to copy it. Okay. All right, so we're just copying the low part times derivative of the high part. So that's 8 times 2 is 16x to the 7 minus the high part. Just copy it. D low, derivative of the low part. So it's a bunch of stuff to the 4th power. Derivative is going to be 4, a bunch of stuff to the 3rd. Copy paste this stuff times derivative of that stuff. The derivative of 5x squared is 10x to the 1 plus the derivative of 9 is 0. And then that's all over low squared. So if I square something that's already to the 4th power, that's going to put it to the 8th power. All right. And then I'm going to do my reorder step real quick. So I'm going to put my number in front, then my x term, then my ugly term, minus. On this side, I'm going to multiply 2 times 4 times 10, and I get 80. And then I have x to the 8 times x to the 1 is x to the 9th. 5x squared plus 9 to the 3rd. And that's all over 5x squared plus 9 to the 8. So that's my reorder step. So reading left to right, between 16 and 80, the biggest number I could take out is an 8. I have 7 x's and 9 x's, so I can take out 7 of them. And I've got 4 ugly terms and 3 ugly terms, so I can take out 3 of them. And it leaves me with, so on the left side of the subtraction sign, I got rid of 8, so 16 divided by 8 leaves me with 2. Got rid of that x to the 7 altogether. I got rid of 3 of the ugly terms, so it just leaves me with 1 of them. And then my subtraction sign. On the right side, I got rid of 8, so 80 divided by 8 is 10, it leaves me with. I got rid of 7 of those x's, so that means I have 2 left. And then I got rid of all the ugly term. and that's over 5x squared plus 9 to the 8. So now I'm able to cancel all three of those with three of these. Inside the parentheses here, I get 10x squared plus 18 minus 10x squared. All right, and so these two cancel, and so I'm down to just 8x to the 7th times, the only thing left in the parentheses is 18 over 5x squared plus 9 to the 5th, and then I can multiply 5 and 18. And I get 144 x to the 7 over 5x squared plus 9 to the 5th.